Did you know that the housing shortage in the US is critical, with a staggering gap of over 5.5 million homes? And compounding this issue is the inability of current housing to meet the needs of today's increasingly changing households. The housing we have is not the housing we need. For example, despite smaller family sizes, the average newly built home in the US over the last 50 years has more than doubled in size to over 2,500 square feet. And that's a mismatch to the 1 to 2 person average household size that prevails in most communities. In essence, the cry is loud and clear. We need more housing, the right kind of housing. But what does that look like? And why aren't we building it? And why are everyday citizens just like you perfectly positioned to solve this problem? Today, I hope to inspire you to unlock a hidden superpower within yourself, one that you might not yet be aware of. This extraordinary ability to create housing in your community can send you on a journey that will transform not only your life, but create tremendous meaning and purpose in your community. Just a little over 15 years ago, I found myself pondering these same questions, and they led me on a personal journey that can only be described as transformative. And it all started with a chance encounter with a young woman who had just moved to Durham. She was struggling to find affordable housing, and she was terrified at the thought of living alone. And her plight resonated with me, and it sparked a desire within me to create affordable communal housing in my city. Now, communal housing is where you can rent a room and live with like-minded individuals and share things like a kitchen, living room, and sometimes bathroom. And this sharing of space by like-minded individuals creates a sense of community. Back then, in Durham, our rental housing options were pretty traditional. You'd either rent an apartment or a home, either by yourself or with family and friends. There were no communal spaces available. On occasion, you'd come across a rooming house, but these were almost exclusively owned by negligent owners who catered to a tenant demographic that unfortunately was not in position to complain about condition or lack of amenities or lack of repairs. And you'd come across an occasional frat house, of course. But aside from this, there were no communal spaces available for the average everyday person. Until one chance day, I met a woman looking to sell a home with a unique story. Despite its dilapidated state, this old Victorian possessed exquisite architectural bones, and most importantly, the ability to house 4 bedrooms and 3 full baths. Now, at the time, I was a newly minted MBA, and I knew nothing about construction. I barely knew what end of the hammer to hang on to, and I certainly did not know what it would take to walk into a project of this type. But I figured, what's the worst that can happen, right? Well, I came across quite a few challenges along the way, from encountering the remnants of the North Carolina termite family reunion when I leaned on the kitchen wall and fell into the adjoining room, to the unforgettable aromas left behind by 2 dogs and 3 cats that very obviously never left the house, to finding a jungle growing inside the home behind a plastic-covered door. It was the remnant of a tree that had fallen on the home during a hurricane 10 years prior, and the owner shut the door and never entered again. It was a beauty, wasn't she? Well, with the help of a little bit of blood, thanks to stepping on a rusty nail in the backyard, a little bit of sweat and plenty of tears, the home was beautifully restored. Now, this was a little bit of an emotional roller coaster, even for a pretty even-keeled Midwestern gal like myself. But in the end, the home was not only beautiful, but it was a communal space where tenants could rent by the room and live with like-minded individuals. It became a haven for locals, And it was a catalyst for the community. It became a community. And as a matter of fact, quite a few students, staff, and administrators from this very university lived there over the years. This story highlights the importance of listening for unmet housing needs in your community and being willing to step forward and create unique solutions for those needs. And why is that important? Because each of you, through your daily interactions, has access to niche groups and their needs that other people don't have access to. And because no one else is going to do it. Do you think large national builders are going to listen to the hyper-local needs in your community? No. These solutions are inherently local. Which leads me to my question for you today. What would your city's housing inventory look like if you could build it yourself? Imagine sculpting your community like I did by building affordable communal housing. But it doesn't have to be communal housing. It can be a unique price point or a new product like tiny homes. These products are new and non-traditional, and they require innovation. And innovation is inherently local. In this spirit, imagine creating unique solutions like my friend Topher, a school teacher turned real estate developer. Unconventional as a real estate developer, Topher understood the need for smaller, affordably priced housing for rental in his community while facing high land prices and soaring construction costs. When everyone else's prices were skyrocketing, Topher looked the other way, and he began to build housing at a price point that no one had seen in years. His ingenious solution: build an array of backyard bungalows, also known as ADUs, or accessory dwelling units, and rent them out at a below market rate. But his vision went further, as he shared the cash flow from the ADUs with the owners who donated their backyards to his cause, thereby fostering wealth creation within their households. You see, his goal wasn't just to build housing. It was to break cycles of housing injustice by building equitable and affordable homes. Wow. That's a whole lot more than just shelter. Can equity be created and injustice solved through home building, through tiny backyard bungalows? Topher leveraged his unique ability, his superpower, and built 9 ADUs here in Durham. And today, these spaces house residents and refugees and are a testament to community-driven solutions. So what does all this mean? Well, it means I'm about to ask you a question again. What would your city's housing inventory look like if you could build it yourself? When you look around, what housing needs do you see going unfulfilled? What special connection do you have with groups within your community that you can leverage to create unique new solutions? It's empowering, isn't it? To vision for your community, to take agency. It feels good. And here's the truth. You can be the visionary to create just these solutions in your community. And it is just this type of visionary that is indispensable for every city's progress, because it allows non-traditional voices to have a seat at the table in shaping and investing in their community. And that, my friends, is my definition of equity. Today, I propose 2 first steps to empower every citizen to become a citizen builder, catering to a range of roles, whether it be as a financier or a connector or an idea generator or a hands-on person. And while today we unfortunately don't have time to dive into a full-scale new developer workshop, let's take a little bit of time to cover these first 2 items so that you can leave here with confidence and actionable steps. The first step is to take inventory of where you are on what I like to call the Trinity of real estate. Believe it or not, these are the only things you need to be a successful housing developer. And I guarantee that everyone in this room today has at least a little bit of one of them. And by virtue of that fact, you are already well on your way to becoming your community's next housing developer. And that's a good thing. You don't need to start with all three. You don't even need two. You just need one. And the task for all of us to fill it is to fill in the gaps for the ones that we don't have. But what does that look like? Let's take my example. I started out with ample time, a little bit of knowledge that was growing every day, and no capital. I was broke. A newly minted MBA who had just turned down 2 job offers to bet on herself and dive full steam into this thing called real estate. To fill my knowledge gaps, I sought out mentors. I asked countless questions, and I built a team around me of experts, including attorneys and carpenters and inspectors, you name it. And they brought valuable expertise, and it was my job to keep them focused on my vision. For capital, networking introduced me to a range of individuals, and some of these were private lenders who were willing to finance my newbie developer aspirations. Both Topher and I initially lacked capital, but we found partners who believed in our vision and who believed in us. Build a team around you of people who fill in your gaps, and you will have everything you need to walk into your first housing development project. The second step, after taking inventory, I want to challenge you to imagine walking through your community and feeling the pride in knowing that you created positive housing outcomes for your neighbors. Since that fateful project, over 15 years ago, where I created a community almost by accident, I've been able to do so many amazing things in real estate that I am very proud to say have made my community better. And this includes affordable housing development, multifamily, new construction, you name it. But it all started with one communal home. So if you have any inkling of a curiosity about innovating housing in your community, all that I can say to you is that it's possible. It really is. And consider the cumulative impact of all of our efforts. As a new housing developer, a citizen builder, you have greater ability to make impact than you will ever imagine. And it does not matter where you're starting from, because everyone can contribute. So, embrace the journey. Gather your tribe and make a positive impact, a lasting impact on that place you call home. Your community and you will be better for it. Thank you.